Hey everybody, welcome to History 132. This is the syllabus tour video for History 132 IO2. This does not cover every single word written here in the syllabus. The full document is included with this video. This video is going to cover all of the super important stuff, hit the high notes, just like I would if we were in person meeting on the first day. So please make sure you take a look at this, which if you're hearing me, you're taking a look at it. And you can read the full syllabus as well. I suggest you download a copy to have on your computers. That way, if your Wi-Fi goes out, you still have the syllabus, you have access to it, which has my contact information. So you can always let me know if there's something going on. All right. So this is American History 2, History 132, IO2. The last day to drop this course without a grade penalty is November 3rd, 2021. That's pretty late. In this semester, which is good. It means it gives you lots of time to kind of know how you're doing, and you get a lot of grades back before you really, if you're concerned about whether or not you should stay in the course, you get some grades back before you can make that decision. What that means is if you drop the course before November 3rd, that's if you drop. If I have to drop you for not attending, it's different. But if you drop yourself from the course before November 3rd, you get a WD. It does not affect your grade point average at all. If you drop or are dropped after November 3rd, you get a WF. That does affect your GPA. If you are dropped for any reason for not attending the course, that is a WF as well. You can always reach out to me questions if you're not sure what any of this means, but hopefully that explains it at least a little bit. Contact information. So, Janine, like I said, I'm Amanda Zakonis. Okay, so STEAM B124 is where my office is. My office hours, you can click on those links for the virtual version. Office hours are Mondays, 8:30 to 10 a.m. and Wednesdays, 1 to 2 p.m. If you want to meet in person, please contact me to make an appointment. If we meet indoors, as per JCC guidelines, we have to wear masks. If you want to meet outdoors and we have some distance between us, we don't have to wear masks. If we've got some distance between us, I've got 2 unvaccinated kids at home just because they're too young to be vaccinated. So I'm being very cautious, so just keep that in mind. And then you can also meet virtually. So if you don't want to bother with masks, no masks in person, if you're taking this class from somewhere else, virtual office hours are an option as well. You can also reach out to me via email. You can call my office phone, but email is the best way to get in touch with me outside of normal office hours or just in general. I respond to emails within 24 hours. Usually it's more like 12 to 18 hours. I check it pretty frequently. Now I have 2 small kids and just adopted a dog yesterday who got up at 5:15 this morning. So if you email me late at night, I probably won't get it until the next day because I'm not going to stay up late. And again, 2 small kids and dog. So just be aware of that. So this is a survey course, which means it covers a bunch of time and material in a short period of 17 weeks. We go from the end of the Civil War in 1865, which is the beginning of the Reconstruction period, all the way to about 2010-ish. There's lots of different topics, as you can see. The class is offered online, and then it's 100% online. So all work is submitted through Blackboard. Each week has its own module in Blackboard. It's very well organized. If you watch the Blackboard tour video, you can see I'm a super type A personality, so I've got it pretty locked and set up for you to be able to know where everything is and find everything. The Blackboard tour video, again, will help you navigate too, so make sure you watch that if you haven't already. Each week has reading assignments. That's in the course schedule. It tells you what you need to read. In the folders, there might be additional documents to read. All the lecture stuff is in there as well. Any assignments, like links to weekly assignments, are going to be in there in Blackboard in the folders as well. So just be aware of that. Let's see. The announcements is a really good place to start. If you started with the announcements, you saw the welcome announcement, and you're watching this because you know you need to, and you need to mark your review when you're done. You saw the welcome video and all that good stuff. So the announcements is always a good place to start if you are not sure what to do first. Student learning outcomes, so things you'll be able to do when you're done. You will develop and deliver an oral presentation that requires analysis and interpretation of historical research. You will have 2 options for the project, and you'll pick which one you want to do. More on that in just a bit. You'll write an argument-driven, evidence-based essay analyzing significant historical developments using correct MLA formatting for in-text citations and works cited pages. There will be 2 short papers in here. I used to do 1 larger paper. I broke it down into 2 short papers instead. I'll address kind of chunks of the semester. Learn to read, think, and write historically using primary source documents. Primary sources are things that were written down at the time. So, for example, someone like Thomas Sharpton writing something down, somebody like Frederick Douglass writing something down, Elizabeth Cady Stanton, Carrie Chapman Catt, Mary Church Terrell, Ida B. Wells. These are all folks who were alive during the time and wrote things down. And those are primary source documents. That's first-hand accounts. You have a whole book. Practice critical thinking by creating evidence-based arguments and challenging arguments you are given. Use and recognize the concepts of change, continuity, and contingency to learn how the struggles we face are not unique to our own time. So these 2 kind of go together. Critical thinking is not just accepting what you're told. It's looking at multiple perspectives, multiple arguments, multiple sources to piece an answer together based on the facts, and not just accepting something you're given. And within that, we're going to look at these 3 C's. I call them: change, continuity, and contingency. Change is when something is different. Continuity is when something is the same. And contingency is when something could have gone one way but went a totally different way. For example, my first lecture talks about the Civil War and Reconstruction. And were it not for the thousands of individual decisions of slaves to escape to Union lines during the Civil War, or to enlist in the military in 1862 and 1863, slavery might not have been up for abolition at the end of the Civil War, but all of those folks forced the government to see them and to see their place in maintaining the Union. And therefore, they were impossible to ignore, and abolishing slavery became a major part of the discussion. So, but imagine if that hadn't happened. So all those individual decisions changed the course of history. And that's what I love about it, because we're individuals too, right? Which means we can make decisions that change the course of history, hopefully for the better. Take responsibility for your own education by asking and answering questions of your own making. We do that a lot through like the participation assignments and things like that. Become aware of the active historical interpretation through which historians use varieties of evidence to offer perspectives of the meaning of the past. Make academic arguments about history using reasons and evidence. Again, we love to make arguments in history, we love to talk about stuff, but it's got to be backed up by evidence. That's what your sources are for, right? Understand some of the economic, political, environmental, and cultural causes that together transformed life in the United States. Witness the creation of a modern activist state and the expansion of state power across the continent and abroad. The government and its role in everyday life is going to change drastically over the course of our semester, and that is a piece of that. Consider questions of race, class, gender, sexuality, religion, ethnicity, and culture to evaluate the continuing struggles for equality and access in America. That's a big one. We're going to talk about all kinds of different stuff, things that are still kind of hot topics. So there's another section down in here about respect, right? But all these different people trying to be seen in that American promise throughout the semester. So interesting stuff there. Books, we have them. They're available with my materials, formerly known as First Day Access. So if you paid your tuition, you have your books already. This is the ISBN for them along with the bundle. It's Give Me Liberty Volume 2 and Voices of Freedom Volume 2, because it's History 132, American History 2, so it is Volume 2. It's the books and the inquisitive and the tutorials. We're going to use all those things often, so you definitely want to have that. You're going to log in, click on the link, and it's going to take you right in, and you're going to be ready to go. It's so much easier than some of the other ways that ebooks used to be done or could be done. And so really students have found it to be a good thing to do. Now you are able to opt out of it if you choose. There's a form for that, and there's a note on that in the policy section of Blackboard Shell, something you needed to mark reviewed in order to access the materials. But opting out does not mean you don't have to get books. You would, if you opted out of this digital version where you just have everything there for you, you would have to buy print copies of the books and an access code for the inquisitives and the tutorials. So you would still need to actually get those things. Course overview. How do we explain the rise of the modern American nation? A lot of stuff happened, right? And all these things were neither welcome nor inevitable. So we're going to talk about Things like, what does freedom mean? Who is an American? And what is the proper relationship between individuals and government? So things that are still being argued about and discussed and considered and unanswered. So we're going to talk about struggles over the meaning of citizenship, the expanding power of government in American economy and daily life, changing relations of the individual with the community, and the complications of national and international expansion. Because once the U.S. comes out on the world stage like, hey, everybody, that changes things too. So we start at the end of the Civil War, and we talk about that a little bit in the first lecture, and we talk about Reconstruction. And then we finish in the end of the days of globalization, each marking the end of an era and the beginning of another. And I know you're like riveted, but you probably want to know how you're going to be graded. So 20% of the grade is going to be participation. We've got a few different ways we're going to do this. We're using something called Pretzel. I used it for the very first time in spring of 2021, and students really enjoyed it. They thought it was more interactive, and you have a lot of different ways of doing things. So it's not just discussion boards or just debating or just group work. It's got a little bit of everything. The discussion boards are called Engages. There's video discussion boards called Records. There's micro chats, which is kind of like a Twitter feed of like a little mini discussion. And there's all kinds of different stuff in there. So we're going to use a bunch of these different things, and there will be instructions specific to each assignment. And it'll be embedded in Blackboard, so all you have to do is click the link and it will take you right in. If you've watched the how to access Pretzel and how to use Pretzel video, you've seen that. Just make sure to follow those steps to click the link and just wait, and it'll go to the home page. Don't touch anything or try to log in. And then a few seconds later, it'll automatically take you into the activity. We also have inquisitive activities. Again, that's through the textbook publisher. Those are 10%, and your micro chats and other things like that are the other 10%. So 10% is 20. 40% of your grades are going to be 2 exams, a midterm and a final exam. They are short answer, also known as identification, and then essay questions are the other portion of that. And there's in the midterm exam folder, there's an identification example. There's the study guides are provided, and there's a video on like what to expect and what the expectations are for the exam as well. So make sure you check all that stuff out. And then of course you can contact me with any questions. Each exam is worth 20%. The midterm is due on October 3rd, and the finals due on December 8th. They will open up before those dates, so you won't just have that day to take them. You do get one timed attempt, but they're open like that whole week. So, say you have to close at your job on December 8th and you're worried you'll be able to take the test on time. It's been open for several days at that point, so you can just take it before that. So trying to accommodate varying schedules, I just leave it open for a little bit longer. Any questions about that, please let me know. The other 20% of your grade, there's 40 left. 20% of your grade is writing assignments. 2 short papers, about 1.5 to 3 pages. And I already mentioned what those topics are. And they address the major themes in the course. They're due weeks 5 and 11. They'll be submitted on Blackboard and run through Safe Assigned Plagiarism. Please don't plagiarize. There are handouts about plagiarism available in Blackboard. If you have questions about what is or is not plagiarism, please feel free to contact me. It's okay if you don't know. Asking is really important if you're not sure. The last 20% is a presentation assignment. It's a project, and you'll give a 5 to 10 minute presentation on it. You have 2 options for your project. You can either design your own historical monument or memorial, and you'll also write up a visitor pamphlet with that, or you can conduct an oral history interview. And each assignment has its own instructions, videos going over the instructions, and rubrics that are available for you to look at and utilize as you make your project. So everything there is provided. There's no tricks or traps, and if you have any questions, you can contact me. You will present your projects through Blackboard, so there will be instructions on how to do a narrated PowerPoint, or you can use Screencastify. But you'll upload them to Blackboard, and then your classmates will be able to visit your projects and take a look at them and provide feedback. Projects are going to be due on November 21st, and then that following week, which is like the 22nd, 23rd, before Thanksgiving, you'll be tasked with visiting at least 2 classmates' projects and providing feedback. History, which more on that later, I promise. I have an example on how to do an identification. There's a video on the test format, all that good stuff. And of course, you can ask me questions after you look at those things if you're not sure. The other part of the test will be essay. And so your midterm is due October 10th, and your finals due October 8th. They're going to open up before that, though. So you get one time attempt to take it, but you have multiple days to take it. So you can say you have to work on October 10th, but you don't have to work on October 8th. You can take it on October 8th because it's going to open up earlier in the week. Each exam is worth 20%. Writing assignments, you've got 2 short papers. I mentioned this a little bit earlier when I was talking about the learning outcome with writing. They're 1.5 to 3 pages, so at least 1.5 pages, 2-3 pages, and they're targeted questions about just kind of a chunk of what we've covered in the semester. All this stuff is going to be in the Grade Center and Blackboard, and each assignment, like I said, has very specific instructions. The primary focus is going to be the quality of the content. Did you answer the question and follow the prompt? Then after that, did you support your answer or argument with the proper evidence from class readings? We are all about making arguments in history and backing those up with evidence. Formatting and mechanics are also important, but they'll play a smaller role in my assessment of your writing and of your projects. And like I said, again, it's written everywhere. Each assignment has specific instructions. Turnaround on stuff. I'll make every effort to return tests and papers within 2 weeks, and smaller assignments like quizzes, which would be like the inquisitive stuff, that should come back to you immediately. Within 1 week, or smaller assignments like the micro chats, that'll be within 1 week. I'll comment digitally in Blackboard on your exams and your papers, and I'll provide feedback on everything. So the comments will be using the feedback options in Blackboard. When you're reviewing your grades in the My Grades section of Blackboard, you can just click on any underlined hyperlinked grade to see more details about the grade. It'll show you all the comments and stuff. And so that's where you'll find all the feedback. And of course, if you read through the feedback and you want more clarification, or you want to ask me a question, or you're like, I don't know, please feel free to reach out. Late work policy, I had one. Late work will not be accepted for full credit without a documented excuse. This is a doctor's note, a death in the family, something, an emergency, something that was emergent and you were unable to control it. Because that happens, right? Your kid got sick. All that just happens to all of us. All assignments must be turned in by the deadline to be on time. Late submissions of papers and projects will be deducted 3 points each day. That's day of the week. Not just a class day, like not just Monday through Friday, although our stuff runs Monday to Sunday. It'll be every day that they're late. No late work will be accepted once it has reached 10 days past due. That's on the major assignment. Tests can be made up with a documented excuse, but late test submissions are not possible otherwise. So you have to have a documented excuse to be able to make up a test. Otherwise, it stays a 0. Participation work that is not turned in on time will not be accepted without a documented excuse. So again, that's like if you were in a seated class, right? If we met on Tuesdays at 12:30 and you weren't there to do something, like say everybody created discussion questions for a document and you weren't there to do that, I can't just let you go and do that later, right? So again, documented excuse. This is where that communication is going to come in really handy, because I won't know something's going on with you unless you tell me. So please feel free to let me know and have that line of communication open. Just like if something comes up on my end of things, I'm like, oh, I know I was going to have these grades back to you on Friday, but I can't until Tuesday because X just happened. I'm going to post an announcement and let you know. So please do the same for me so that I can make sure I know what's going on with you. Critical success strategies. So things that you need to know. Check your email. I usually send announcements out also as email, so they'll go to your email as well. And that's going to be my best way to communicate with you, is going to be through email and through sending those Blackboard announcements out. So let's say I realized that a topic that maybe we wanted to make sure was in a paper or make sure was part of the exam. Maybe I don't cover it that week and I accidentally cover it next week. I'll send an announcement out and say, oh, this isn't actually due until next week. So you definitely want to check your email and you want to check those announcements, because wouldn't it be such a bummer if you like worked your back off and you wrote this thing and then you found out it wasn't due for another week? So definitely check your email and the announcements for the course. We're going to go really fast. I think you heard we're covering over 400 years in 17 weeks. So we're going to go pretty quickly. I've provided a lot of resources to help you kind of learn these things. Like this here mentions lecture outlines. These outlines cover key terms and discussion questions that are addressed in the lecture as you go. I also provide the lecture notes, which is a script that I lecture from. So you have outlines for each lecture, you have notes for each lecture, and you have videos of me lecturing. These are all optional. You don't have to use these. I've had students where they've printed out, which now you probably wouldn't print it out, you just put it on your computer, an outline and put a bunch of spaces in between all the key terms, because all of your exam stuff comes from the key terms. And they would write the who, what, when, where, and so what, why does it matter, why is it significant, in the outlines for each lecture. And then when it came time, they got the terms that were going to be on the exam. Oh, hey, look at that. I've already written all this stuff down for the term. That makes studying a lot easier, so they do that. I have other students who highlight and make, like, they download their own copy of the lecture notes and they highlight and make comments on it as I give lecture. So these are optional resources for you to use. You don't have to turn these outlines in. You don't have to submit anything to me for them. They're just optional resources for you that may assist in your note-taking and your studying. And obviously we're going to use Blackboard. Let's see. One of my favorites is, the success of this class will be determined largely by your participation. This is a history class. Historians love to sit around and talk about things. So that's going to be through the pretzel assignments, right? A lot of the time it's going to be through those engages when you comment on a classmate's post, or when you do a video comment on a video discussion board. So your participation in those things really is going to show us how successful this class is going to be. How much is everyone going to get out of it? We need to engage with each other, just like I will be engaging. I will be commenting and making video comments on things, and I'll be making written comments on things, because I'm going to be engaging too. So we each bring different experiences and skills to the class, right? Some of you will be more familiar with the literature, like you might have heard of somebody, or you might have read a certain speech by somebody, and you might share a little more. Maybe you comment on 3 or 4 people instead of the required 2. Other people may just do their 2 comments and get out. But our plan is to have a supportive environment with a lively give and take and comments and engagement. Which brings me to my next point. Disagreement is an important part of intellectual discussion, and arguing at issues is critical to a college education. Therefore, you should expect to disagree with the ideas and opinions of others, especially in our primary document discussions. Because, you know, whether it's the people who wrote the documents or it's a classmate's take on a document, it's okay. You can totally disagree. Please always disagree in a respectful manner. Treat others as you would like to be treated. Use respectful language to refer to groups, individuals, and fellow students. We're going to be talking about race. We're going to be talking about gender. We're going to be talking about immigration. A lot of things that are still hot topics. So you can disagree as long as it is substantiated and respectful. Plagiarism and cheating will not be tolerated. Please don't do it, you guys. Come on. You will receive a 0 on the assignment and be reported. If you have any questions about what constitutes cheating or plagiarism, please ask me. In fact, I believe the Blackboard tour went over a handout called, "Is this plagiarism?" Or maybe no. It's the writing, no? I don't know. I can't remember if it's still in there. But there should be something on plagiarism, whether it's in the writing tips handout or if there's a separate plagiarism handout. It's got some tips on how to watch out for and make sure you don't plagiarize. If you have any questions, please reach out to me. Okay, these things are for you to learn, right? So using Chegg or freeessays.com or whatever is not helping you learn, and you will get caught. And I've caught people, and it's just such a bummer. So please don't do it. Again, that's how we show respect for one another, right? You use academic integrity, and I respectfully give you feedback on time in a constructive manner. Online attendance. Okay. Do you like that I sing randomly? Probably not. So this course is 100% online. In order to be considered attending, you need to complete things each week, and there are different things. There's some weeks have an inquisitive and a pretzel assignment. Some weeks you have just an exam, but you need to complete whatever is due that week in order to be considered present. You will be dropped from the course if you miss more than 2 weeks of class. So if, let's say, in 1 week you have an inquisitive and a microchat due and you don't turn in either of those things, you're absent that week. If you then the next week there's an exam and you don't turn that in, not only is this hurting your grade, right, but you're absent as well. So that's 2 weeks already. If you didn't go through another week and you don't turn stuff in, whether it's that week or 8 weeks later, then you've missed enough class for it. You have to drop you. That's JCC institutional policy. I cannot not do it. Now, if you have stuff going on, that's preventing you from turning things in, that's where that communication is going to be really important, right? So please let me know what's going on, because I can definitely help. We can kind of maybe work out, say you have an emergency situation or an urgent situation, and you need an extension and you have documentation for your situation, please contact me and let me know what's going on. Or maybe you don't have documentation yet, but you're going to be able to get it in a few days. And please, Amanda, can I have, extra time? Yeah, sure. Send me the documentation and here's your extension. So it's not all or nothing. It's not totally black and white. You need to just let me know what's going on and we can work something out if you're having a problem and you can't turn stuff in on time. You must enter the class prior to the 10% date, which I know that sounds weird and probably doesn't make sense, but our date for that is August 25th. So you have to do something in the course, whether it is the enrollment verification quiz or completing your video discussion board. You have to do something in the class by August 25th in order to be counted present in the course. Otherwise, you're not there, right? And that's that. State mandated testing for CCP students. That is, and I have a list of testing dates, but please email me if you're a CCP student and you have a test, right? Like you have the ACT or something, which good luck. I was never good for yourself. And let me know what the date is and just send me the little letter they give you, and that's an excuse absence. But like campus activities, I don't know if y'all are doing activity at this time, but like field trips and things like that, those don't count under the articulation agreement with JCC. Those don't count as excused absences, so those will be absences. But because we're in an asynchronous online class, you can take the class with you. So hopefully if you do have anything like that going on, you're able to still complete things away from home. JOLT, the Jaguar Office of Learning Technologies, is super helpful. They're there to help you. The email might be a faster way to get help, but you can also call. That's for if you're having difficulty with Blackboard and it's something that's not like a quick fix or you get locked out or something, you can reach out to them. And of course, email me as well, right? Send me an email too, let me know what's going on. Religious or solemn observance policy. Religion is fascinating and super duper neato, and there are a bunch of them out there, and they have a bunch of really neat rituals and traditions. If you need to miss class for a religious reason, there's a document for that. And so we got a form for everything. And we just need to let me know and fill out that form at least 2 weeks before you're going to be absent. And that is excused. You'll be given the opportunity to make up all your work and all that good stuff. Student concerns. We have something called a faculty first policy here at JCC. I like to call it the We Are Adults policy at JCC. And basically it means that you'll talk to me if there's an issue. Right, and a lot of these communications, we're going to be communicating, the feedback you get is typed up. The announcements are mostly going to be typed up. Sometimes there's a video here and there, but it's a lot of typing. Tone is hardly conveyed well via text. So if I say something and you're like, oh, that doesn't sound nice, or that isn't right, or that's a little bit rude, please let me know. Odds are I probably didn't intend for it to come off that way. But I also am not the most well-versed person when it comes to like social anything. So please let me know. I will totally apologize and adjust my way of doing things. Just like if we're having a discussion and you say something that comes off as rude or disrespectful to a classmate or something like that, I'll come in there and maybe if it's truly egregious, I'll say something in the activity. But if it's something that's like, oh, maybe that might come off as something, I'll contact you privately and address it with you. So it's a two-way street, that. So I'm just, asking that to be a two-way street. However, if there is a problem that you feel you cannot come to me for, my department chair's information is listed on here as well. You can contact her if there is an issue. Hopefully that doesn't happen. Hopefully we can just be cool and be adults and everybody's nice and everything works out. But this is here for you in case you do need it. So, but that's the syllabus. Please reach out with any questions. Make sure you mark this reviewed because there are things attached to it that need to be unlocked in order for you to start working on stuff for class. So make sure you mark this reviewed once you've watched this video. The syllabus was also attached here, the actual document of it. I recommend you just have it on your computer saved so that you can look at it. Because if your internet's down, if you have it saved to your computer as like a Word document or a PDF, you can pull it up without being online. And then you can take a look at stuff if you're having a problem. And that way you have my email address when you send me an email. So it's just good to have a copy of it. That's what I would do. But anyway, that's the syllabus. Reach out with me to any questions. What? Reach out to me with any questions. And I hope you all have a wonderful day and welcome to the class.